started. Good.
Right there in that, next to Basil. Isaiah. He was a prophet from the Old Testament. Is you
Last window on this top row of the board is St. Lawrence, a Spanish deacon who was put to death in the 3rd century.
as you know, the name from Orvis Street, donated some property to us, and the church was built. And the blue paper, or the blue tape that you see all over, is the markings of the original church. So when the first St. John's was built, we were here. And the pews, what you see from these steps here to the back of the wall behind the altar is called the chancel. It's where the choir sits and where the altar is. So back in 1860, 1869, 1870, those steps were way back here. Right here. So all we had for pews was what you see here. It was a very small church. And then as Messina grew, there was need for a bigger facility. And so the church was doubled in size in 1958 and 59. And then now we have what we have. If you look at the church, if you look up, you see that the ceiling is the hull of a ship. Like Noah's Ark, God sent the ark to send it to save his people. His people gather here in the church. What else, Miriam?
This is what we're going to do.
We're going to go back.
Passing this back and forth. I guess we've only talked about this once. We're going to mention that wall, that the window is right.
Yes, the window, everything, yeah, that wall, that window, and everything, the same altar, the same window was right here. So I have a couple pictures if you want to take a look at the pictures at some point. And it was very confusing. We've had many, many discussions as to where it was and what it was all about and all that. And then when we started looking for the 150th, we found architectural plans and found the old church placed on top of the new building. So that's how we got all these lines all over. And the church itself is Gothic architecture, and the Gothic churches had a cross. The main altar is the line this way, and then right here is the other part of the cross. And our building was not completed. If you look outside, you may have noticed that there's a cement part in between the bricks. That was to have a chapel out that way. And then and this side is our sacristy, so that would have given us the cross, but we didn't quite get that much done. But who knows what the future may hold. Okay?
All right.
I'm sorry. Oh. Yes, rood screen. They don't know. Rood is cross. So when this was here, it was probably right down there where that blue line was. There was a cross that went across the beam like this, and it was a beam across there, and in the middle was a cross, and that cross is the cross that hangs over the altar. And then on either side were the two people that were at the foot of the cross when Jesus hung on the cross. It was Mary and John, and those are the wooden statues that are on either side of the altar. Thank you, John.
And root is not spelled like.
R-O-O-D. Yeah. Okay, your turn.
Okay, we're going to be bouncing back and forth because I'll probably make mistakes and she'll correct me.
And vice versa.
No, I doubt I'll be correcting her at anything. But the tour of the church is actually going to start at the tapestry, go to each window and describe what's going on in each window, and I gotta do this each time. It's the west window,
Yes,
west window,
to DM.
yeah, and then we come around here to these windows, we'll go up onto the altar, talk about those windows and our columbarium, which you'll find out what that is, and then back. So we're not really set up for you to move around, but feel free to move around, because the only way to really appreciate the windows is to actually look at them. So you can follow me as I go around, or you can sit there and just listen. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I don't have one of those. So I'm going to start here with the tapestry. And I have lots of notes, so I'm going to refer to them quite often. In 1915, 1.5 million Armenians were persecuted and slaughtered by the Turks. And it was during that genocide period that 300 men came to America in search of a new life and freedom to worship in the Christian faith. Armenia was the first nation in the world to declare Christianity as their religion of their country. These 300 men arrived at Ellis Island to try to avoid being drafted by the Turks to go and kill their own people. So they left, came to America. Alcoa had sent some recruiters to work in the pot rooms, and that's how the 300 people or so came up to Messina to work. The tapestry cost about $8,000, and all the money was donated by the Armenian families in Messina. It took 3 months to make, and it was presented to the church in 1984. And if you take a look at the tapestry, up at the top, the words hope and faith in the Armenian language. The mountain that you see at the top is Mount Ararat. The smoke on the left, you can see smoke coming from the burning villages that the Turks were burning down houses and so forth. The masses of people are represented there, the souls of the people that were massacred during that genocide period. St. Gregory, the Illuminator, is the patron saint of Armenia, and he stands behind the cathedral tower. And on each side of the mountain are peacocks, and the peacocks represent, it's a medieval symbols of the resurrection of man. And then on the borders are the grapes and vines, which are symbols of life. And then the woman, the refugee, is looking up at St. Gregory for guidance and help, and the child, they're looking towards the saint. So that pretty much describes it. Do you have anything?
It was said that Gregory was in prison, and while he was in prison, he was called by God to convert the Armenian people. And so they considered him their patron saint because he converted them from paganism to Christianity.
What was that?
Do you know what year that happened? What year they thought that was?
It was around 300 AD.
I was going to say 300 to 400.
Okay, so then, if you want to follow me or not, I'm going to start with the window 1, where Sonia's going to probably jump in and help me here. But we have the nativity scene here, and this is the Annunciation of the Virgin Mary. That's when Gabriel came and told her that she was going to be the mother of our Savior. And that's what these two windows portray. And I'm just going to move quickly through these. The Christ in the temple, I'm sorry, the presentation of Christ in the temple, and the other one is the flight into Egypt. If there's any questions, ask Sonia. And we'll continue. I'm not the seminarian, she is. Okay, here we have the baptism of Christ, or the baptism of Jesus, and Christ among the teachers. And what is that?
That was when he was about 12. And remember the famous quote he said, "I'm about my Father's business." He was teaching in the temple.
Okay, here we have the healing of the blind on the window on the right, and Jesus the Good Shepherd.
So who did all
We had one question, same question.
Okay.
There was a gentleman, he was an artist, that used to, he's no longer with us, but did these stained glass pieces for churches. And usually he did one piece for the church. We are different in that he did, at that time, all the windows in here. And his name was, he was from France, and his name was Dolgray. And so he did all the windows. As we get out, as Miriam goes on her tour, and if you look at where the tape is on that wall, you can see that those 4 windows were not here with the original church. So when we put on the extension in the 50s, those 4 windows were added later, and I can't remember that person's name, but he replicated Dolgray's vision. And if you look at the windows, throughout all the windows, you can see buildings. And those are to represent the city of God. Okay?
And I should have mentioned in the beginning that there are 14 windows that are in the nave here, and they depict the life of Christ. Okay, and now we go to the west window, which is this. This one is the one that gets me, because there's so much in this window. So I will take whatever help I can get. This window is known as the Te Deum, which is Christ's heavenly life, as opposed to his life on earth, his earthly life in the nave. This is his heavenly life. And it's the heavenly life brought down to the present based on the revelation of St. John the Divine. The window was dedicated in 1943 and contains over 7,000 pieces of glass.
The blue glass that you see in these windows is the last of its kind. The factory that produced this glass was bombed in World War II.
And the blue represents heaven and the red kingship. So if we start at the top rose section, we see Christ in heaven. On either side of the rose window are the cherubim and the seraphim. I wish I had a pointer that I could, but you have to kind of follow with me. And note the angels carrying scrolls. That would be the two rose windows underneath the main one. Next, we see if you can see carefully enough, up in the top window there's a rainbow. The 7 colors going, starting on the left side in the middle, going across to the right side. And above that, you see the symbol for the alpha in green, in that far left green, the alpha, and then on the other side in green, the omega, the beginning and the end. The mother is on his right, still up at that top window. His mother's on the right, and St. John is on his left. I think that's all on that top part. Now, oh yes, and St. John is carrying the book of Revelations. Again, way up at the top. So now we're going to do these 4, they call them lancets or sections. The top row on the left.
At the very top, into the peak, are the 4 gospel writers: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Matthew is portrayed as the winged man, and because his gospel traces the human lineage of Jesus. Then there's St. Mark, and he's the winged lion, because he begins his by describing St. John the Baptist, the voice of one crying in the wilderness.
Where are you looking?
Way up. See this piece way up into the peak of this one. You'll see there's the winged lion, there's the eagle, there's the human, and there's the ox. And so I was just saying which gospel writer, you see what I'm saying? And the winged ox was
We're talking about the top 4 sections.
in the midst of the buildings at the top. Okay? And St. Luke was described as describes the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And in the Old Testament times, ox and sheep were used for sacrifices. And then the winged eagle, St. John, because his gospel takes our thoughts toward heaven on eagle's wings.
Okay.